Thank you to everybody for joining me here at the stream. I hope you are doing okay out there. I'm going to give everybody just about 30 seconds to get on here for this live kind of weather Q&A, weather discussion stream that we've got going on. And of course, some people might be, just tuning on in here and getting that notification. So let's kind of get right on into the live stream here just momentarily. Hope everybody, again, as I said, is doing okay. We're going to kind of have a very relaxed stream here. We're going to be talking about a lot of the different upcoming weather trends. We're going to be talking about this huge snow system that's going to be impacting parts of the Mountain West while we kind of simultaneously, right here, that snow in the Mountain West, while we simultaneously see some rain here into the east over the next few days. We're going to talk about all of that here in this stream. So I've got my volume turned on. I'm on my personal end so I can make sure I am being heard. But I hope everybody, I think I've said this enough, but I hope everybody is doing good. We'll get into the stream here, and I promise I won't keep repeating myself just in a moment. Leo the Weather Nerd, hello. ONW, thank you so much for joining me. I've got Tiffany Coleman in here saying hello. So thank you to everybody who is here on the stream. And again, I'm sure we'll have more people flowing on in. But the good news is this is a little bit more of a Q&A stream. So we're just going to kind of answer anybody's questions, everybody's questions. We're going to do some kind of analysis of the most recent little mini tornado outbreak we had up there over the Great Lakes region recently. We're just going to kind of talk about a lot of different things for a little while here on the stream that I plan to have going until about 8:30, 8:45, closer to 9 maybe at the latest here on the East Coast. So we've got a solid 30, 45 minutes ahead of us here on the stream. So let's make the most of it and get right into it. And, you can first of all see kind of the two different areas I'm going to be talking about in this stream as we progress through time. Here we go in towards our late Friday and into our early Saturday morning. A lot of rain down here over the southeastern quadrant of the United States. This will encompass areas from Louisiana all the way on up to the mid-Atlantic by the time we go towards our Saturday morning, early morning. But that's after pushing through other areas. Heavy, very, very heavy snowfall up there into parts of the Sierras, and very heavy snowfall there into parts of the Northwest California coastal mountains as well. So just prepare if you live anywhere along the West Coast for some very heavy snow and gusty wind. We'll break down some of that some more, especially if we have viewers out there in just a moment. As we head into early next week, an interesting system to watch. You would kind of watch this quadrant here for some severe weather. So again, there's a lot of different little things to kind of talk about. Nothing extreme as of now, but also notice that brings a little bit of a snowier side right there back into parts of Minnesota out of that system as we head into early next week. So we've got, some solid content to kind of run on through today on this live stream, and I'm sure the viewership will pick up as we go throughout. But let's head on over now and take a look at how much snow we've got. Let's time out this upcoming system here for parts of the southeastern United States that we've got. And this is what's interesting. I'm using the GFS right now. Let's go to the Euro. We've seen this little signal, recently, and we're already starting to see this kind of emerge as we go late tonight, kind of into that time frame. We've got this little bit of snowfall here into parts of southern Missouri. Could that, transpire into a little bit of a moderate snow event as this progresses on over there into parts of Illinois? We've seen this trend on the Euro. I had seen this trend on the GFS a little bit yesterday. It kind of dissipates. It's running into a lot of dry, cool air behind our last system. But there is just this little bit of some snowfall here that kind of edges its way on up there into parts of southwest Illinois. Weather Center Nazario is in the chat. Thank you so much for being here. Really appreciate it. Pattern looking all kinds of weird lately. I really agree with you on that one. The pattern is just all over the place. Thanks so much for tuning in. I really appreciate it on this Thursday evening. But simultaneously, we've got this little bit of thunderstorm coverage down here on the Gulf Coast. Will this be severe? High likelihood it's not. Could we see a brief rumble of thunder down there? Probably. So we'll probably see some thunderstorms. Severe thunderstorms, not so much out of this. Though, again, wouldn't rule out one or two severe thunderstorms just down in that kind of warm pocket that the system brings up. Keep in mind that, though, that this system, again, is in the wake of our most recent cold front. So we're just talking about a pretty chilly rain on up here into the southeast U.S. as we head towards, again, late Friday and into early Saturday morning. But, again, the real focus is going to be on over there. Let's head over to the west, zoom on in on that region. Again, look at how heavy this snow is around that hour 33 time frame on the Euro. So this is as we go Friday, 10 p.m. on the East Coast. So the times on the top left side of your screen are in Eastern time. And, of course, in in Pacific time, it's 7 p.m. here with 10 p.m. So just keep in mind to subtract the kind of 3 hours. But over there into the high elevations, Truckee, California, places like that, very, very heavy snowfall coming out of this system. And I mean, we're talking 10 feet plus at the high end and some of these highest elevations there. And Nazario, feel free to drop any of your commentary in the chat. Love watching your videos and kind of catching new weather knowledge from you as I, kind of continue learning here on the YouTube journey. But anyway, as we progress with this system, I mean, the big story, this is our 18Z Euro, so this is our evening Euro run. Even as we go towards the end of the day, Saturday, we've still got a lot of heavy snow here out over the Mountain West. Everything continues and continues. And I mean, this is as we go Sunday now and into early Monday of next week. We're still looking at this, at least somewhat of some snowfall up here over the Pacific Northwest. So with time, this is really going to add on up and just really result in some pretty hefty totals with time over that region. So it's really worth watching over there, Luke F. Yeah, the models don't know what to do with Minnesota. Yeah, Minnesota, I mean, if you were looking at the models like 3-4 days ago, right, you're sitting there and you're scratching your head and you're like, whoa, that's a huge negatively tilted trough on the way, potentially bringing severe weather all the way north to Minnesota. And then now you're talking about maybe a weak system moving on through. Although I say that this storm could still be a little bit interesting. How do I get on the north central? There's so many options here on my toolbar. Don't forget to check out my Weather Bell link in the description to use maps like these. But yeah, I mean, with this kind of system moving on up there, you see that little area. I mean, could this be some thunderstorm activity kind of moving through parts of Minnesota, south to north there? On up there? Certainly so. And in terms of our severe weather potential, I mean, looking at that surface-based cape, there's just this little bit of energy that the European model is showing moving on through parts of Minnesota as we go late Sunday and into Monday. So could we see a brief chance for a spin-up or some severe weather up there? Yes. Again, probably pretty low. I think our severe weather chances are overall just low across the country the next few days. Early next week is when the Storm Prediction Center is now saying we might return to some severe weather potential. But until then, we're kind of hard-pressed for that kind of condition to develop. Let's go back on up to just the overall United States view. And yeah, thought I had seen a new comment just a second ago, but I must have missed it. Just a second here. Let's see if I can pull that one on up. Feel free to ask any questions you have. Yeah, the consistent funnel of moisture and optimal freezing levels over the terrain will really ramp up the snow totals. Yep. Awesome analysis there. Leo, the weather nerd, 10 feet, and we're the only state without snow in South Carolina. That is just absolutely ridiculous. It's so silly that, I mean, I feel your pain in South Carolina myself. No snow here. And, it's pretty hard-pressed to get snow here in the winter anyway. But the fact that there was actually a little bit of snow, I think it was in the Florida Panhandle at some point. There was a little bit of snow, a trace at like the Tallahassee airport or something like that. So we're actually talking about more snow in Florida this winter than there's been in South Carolina. What a joke, especially for an El Nino winter. What a joke. But yeah, let's talk about those snow totals further west. Pretty astonished with how much the models have backed off of that second trough kicking through. Yeah, and I mean, the highlighting of that second one, when I was making those, Nazario, when I was making those videos about 3-4 days ago, kind of highlighting the risks out of this system, or not this system, but the cold front that just went off the East Coast that brought the tornadoes there into parts of, Illinois, Michigan, and Ohio, and then wind reports elsewhere. I mean, that was insane, the fact that there was a negatively tilted trough showing up on both the GFS and the Euro deterministic models for that far out, that type of guidance. And then you ended up kind of seeing them both back off over the last few days. None really too much faster than the other. It just kind of happened quickly and suddenly there and abruptly. It's not like there was just one model where it kind of trended away. It just pretty much dissipated. So really crazy to see. And I mean, that really shows that weather can change, and it can also uptrend just as much. and in a short period of time, for real, it's been a nothing burger, as Ryan Hall would say. Yeah, if you look back at some of his severe weather live streams over there, you can see like if the event was pretty much a bust, he'll put the nothing burger. Yeah, that's funny. But I actually want to go over to Radar Omega, and I'm glad Nazario actually brought up the whole idea of that most recent cold front, and kind of he kind of got me thinking towards that most recent cold front, and how I was talking about the upcoming system during that as well, trying to just kind of hint at the fact that there could be that negatively tilted trough. And while we're over here, I kind of want to, this is all the reports compiled over the last 72 hours, but obviously most of them coming in just from our evening time that we got there on our Tuesday evening, and then going overnight and into our early Wednesday morning here. We saw just a bunch of different reports of severe weather up here, some of them in the Chicago area, just kind of to circle everything. And I know there were tornado reports indicated by those, the little twister in the red circle there, but we had just a bunch of hail over this region as well. So if you lived anywhere from Davenport, Illinois, along the interstate kind of 88 corridor there into Chicago, I-80 as well. Look at some of these big hail reports southwest of Chicago. You got to believe there are a bunch of dents in cars down there. But just northwest of Aurora, we had multiple tornado reports there. Train spotters reporting tornado. Probably the same one, or multiple different touchdowns of tornadoes there just northwest of Aurora. Good news is that there was just some kind of minor reports there, and I don't think anybody was severely. There was one injury that I had seen as well, though. In fact, let me go back on over to the full screen, and I want to look at the Storm Prediction Center and what they had highlighted there, because this is kind of the reading that you can do, and it's going to be very small on your screen, but I'll read it out loud. Henry, Illinois, there was a report of a high-end EF1. There was an EF0 in Lee County, Illinois. So these are counties that I'm reading off as I go through. DeKalb, Illinois, Kane, Illinois, those counties there. There were some EF0 and EF1 tornadoes. Now, there was one that had an injury. There it is, the one in Lake County, Illinois. Peak winds of brief EF1 impacted Mundelein, where it moved a portion of an apartment building up. And it doesn't finish the rest of that report. Can't read the rest of that report right now. But, this last severe weather event was pretty darn intense. So I got to really say that was a pretty feisty little kick-up of severe weather. And I personally had said in my own community post, and I'm not afraid to, just deny it here on the channel either, I had said I didn't think it was going to be like a huge, major, severe tornado outbreak. And the hatched risks didn't really play out quite as strongly. We didn't see a bunch of EF2, EF3, EF4 tornadoes, but we did technically see a little bit of an outbreak up there. So it really came as a surprise to me, and Nazario is right. A lot of sources missed that severe weather band that moved through parts of the Alabama, Georgia, and the Carolinas. Again, there were warnings in my state, South Carolina, yesterday afternoon as well, with some stronger wind gusts that pushed through. So that's certainly worth noting there. And the convective line moved through most of upstate and central South Carolina. Western North Carolina got in on some of it. The Atlanta, Georgia region picked up on a lot of those wind gusts. In fact, going back to that, let's look at those reports. This is a whole crud bucket of reports down here that moved. Really, you can see along that Interstate 85 corridor here. We had a couple different pockets, one north in the North Atlanta suburbs, and then some there around Greenville, South Carolina as well. Most of these 50-mile-per-hour wind gust reports at airports. Switch over to the 28th if I could. Yeah, we're actually looking at reports right now. Back to the 28th. I'm reading your comment now. My streams are always about 30 seconds behind where I was. How do you submit severe weather reports like those? Yeah, I don't really know how to submit the reports. I think you have to be some kind of trained spotter to actually do that. Can I make it warm again? I think it's going to get warmer over a lot of the country again as we head into next week. In the southeast, it's going to go back down into the 70s, or up into the 70s over a lot of the south and the southern plains, the southeastern United States as we head into early next week. So it's going to really begin to warm on up. But yeah, Nazario, yeah, I was kind of activating these graphics right here. But look at this. There is a 70-mile-per-hour wind report right there in a weather station near Atlanta. So that was some really strong gusts around 3:15 p.m. Eastern there near Sandy Springs. So some really feisty gusts moved through there and right along that I-85 corridor there. Then there were also some up there, again, in the Greenville, South Carolina area, on up towards Spartanburg as well. I mean, even into Columbia, a couple of reports there of some, damage from gusty winds. So that was kind of a secondary line. The mountains kind of slowed everything down there in western North Carolina, but the southern end of that line of convection was kind of right. I'm going to draw it. It was right in here, and then it progressed east like so throughout the day. I'm going to be honest with you, with the multitude of reports that came in, and some of the magnitude of these reports as well. Nazario, I have to agree with you. This was a really big miss. I know there was a marginal risk that extended down here, but I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, Weather Center Nazario. I mean, in my opinion, I think this was worthy. I mean, obviously, again, there's nothing we can do about this now. It didn't look this bad on the models either, but with the amount of reports that came in this area that I'm circling right now, that could have easily been a slight risk or even enhanced risk, 15 or 30% for winds. Now, again, there weren't really any significant 75 mile per hour wind gust reports, but certainly a 15% slight risk probably would have been necessary in that region. And most of these reports that ended up happening right here kind of were left over from the storms from the night before as well. I'm feeling discouraged as of recently, and Florida's been incredibly quiet, yeah. Been pretty quiet down there. A little bit of some of those storms in the Panhandle, though, right as we head overnight tonight and through our Friday as well. But again, we also had tornado reports there west of Columbus in Ohio. So, this event, at the end of the day, you look at this, I mean, you can pretty much see. You can put, that box is a little bit bad. Let's try drawing a box again. Yeah, you can pretty much put a box around the region, right, that had the worst weather from this. And, again, some of these wind and hail reports actually impact people as much. A lot of these tornado reports that came in, there were a couple strong ones, EF1, EF2 there, parts of, Illinois, Michigan, and Ohio. A good deal of these tornadoes that touched down in northwest Illinois were EF0. So even though there's, the National Weather Service confirming a bunch of these tornadoes, a lot of them were on the weaker side. But I mean, we're talking, these 50, 60 mile per hour wind gusts are almost to, a low end hurricane, low end EF0 tornado force there. So technically we're talking here that these reports down here into parts of northern Alabama, northern Georgia, upstate South Carolina, through parts of northern Kentucky and the Louisville region around the Ohio River Valley, all of these wind gusts and these hail reports and these damage reports, this is considerable damage that impacts people's lives. And I mean, not as much as a tornado necessarily, but it's still going to, cause impacts to people. Yeah, Storm Prediction Center risks depend on the amount of severe weather, but not the strength. That is true, but not the strength. Yeah, I mean they kind of do, but I mean this is a lot of severe weather. But I mean the strength, you are going to get enhanced risk based on strength a lot of the time, because if they're expecting a stronger outbreak, the enhanced risks are where you start putting in those hatched areas for the tornadoes. But actually, slight risk you can start putting on the hatched areas for hail as well. I don't think I've ever seen a 15% hatched risk with wind. I don't think I've ever seen that, although that might exist. But enough talking about these reports. Let's go back on over to Weather Bell. And yeah, that's still on the Storm Prediction Center screen. But let's get back to this. Let's get back to the United States. Let's get back to business. Some of them do, yes, but the hatch designation suggests the stronger tornadoes. So yeah, I do agree, Nazario. Yeah, a good bit of it does have to do with that intensity. So hopefully I summed that up correctly about us a few minutes ago here. But, again, this is that little area of snow that you can't disregard there in Missouri and Illinois. But, Nazario, I mean, this Florida Panhandle stuff, I don't think that's going to, cause any severe weather. I mean, there might be some rumbles down there. Another little area of some thunderstorms is probably going to move along the Carolina coastline as well. Into late Friday and into early Saturday morning. But I mean, that snow event along the west coast, that's really the big deal. And in fact, let's go over now to those alerts here from the National Weather Service and go on over. I mean, we've got blizzard warnings up here in the mountains of California. National Weather Service in Reno, I mean, putting these big, pink graphics. A long duration of high intensity snow and strong winds is expected, with periods of whiteout conditions and near zero visibility. Life threatening conditions expected Friday p.m. to Saturday morning. Light, fluffy snow will be easily blown around, creating whiteout conditions with near zero visibility at times. Travel is not advised. If you plan to travel, pack an emergency kit and prepare to be stranded in your vehicle. I mean, look at this. They got that extreme. You don't see National Weather Services like ever trying to just put out extreme graphics, and they're putting extreme on this here. So if you're in the Sierra region here from Bieber, California, Susanville, Portola, Truckee, South Lake Tahoe, all these areas highlighted in those reds, also into parts of southeast Nevada, check that weather.gov website, weather.gov. That's where you can always check up on the latest alerts. It's going to put you on the latest alerts map once you go there. Then you can click on the screen on your county, on your town, and find what alerts are going on and your 7-day forecast from them. So really recommend that. But to answer your question, Nazario, genuine thoughts on Weather Bell. I really love it. To be honest with you, kind of looking at Weather Bell, you kind of want to see what you're going to get for the price, and it is just so worth it. I mean, there's all sorts of different zooms available, and there aren't soundings on it, but I don't know if Weather Models has that either, because I never had Weather Models before I got this. But I've really enjoyed Weather Bell personally, and it has really good features. I mean, there's a bunch of different options for U.S. regions, states. You can go down to the city level on some of the bigger cities. But the graphics are really crisp and clean. You can kind of find a way to work with them really well to your tastes. And I think the graphics on Weather Bell just really stand out from the rest. And there's all sorts of different things you can operate with, from severe weather all the way to wind. And there's a lot of longer range ensembles, the Euro weeklies and all that. They're all on here. Again, I don't know exactly what the features on Weather Models are. But I doubt there's any way it has as many features as Weather Bell does. So it's definitely worth it, Nazario, to answer your question. So definitely at least like a 4.5 out of 5, probably a 5 out of 5 rating for me on Weather Bell. That's just my personal preference, though. But yeah, I mean, the blizzard warning in Reno, let's read this. Up here, we're talking about the following counties. Lassen, Eastern Plumas, Eastern Sierra counties, including the cities of Sierraville, Susanville, Loyalton, Westwood, and Portola. This blizzard warning gusting with the winds as high as 70 miles per hour, with localized 5 to 10 feet near Lassen Park, Yuba Pass, and Lake Davis. 5 to 10 feet. Jeez. Talk about a lot of snow. So it is just going to be coming down hard and heavy there. And again, let's look at when this is going to be heaviest. And it's really going to be in that kind of near term. Here as we go late. Let's zoom on in. In fact, let's zoom in on California. California. There we go. I mean, look at how heavy this snow is Saturday morning. I mean, these are the deepest blues you get on these graphics here that I'm looking at right now. So if you live in any of these areas I'm circling or anywhere around it, you're talking high wind, you're talking extremely heavy snow. So I know I've just kind of jumped around a lot on this live stream, but I've had some different questions and topics to discuss as well with the audience here. But man, that is just some heavy snow into Northern California, as well as those Eastern California Sierra Mountains. So if you live in these areas, hunker down. Hopefully you've already got everything you need in preparation for storms like this. Because even snow of this magnitude just doesn't happen very often, and even for parts of California. It is insane. And I mean, again, it's also the length that this lasts around, and it's not just over California. If we look, at the entire western United States, here are these snowfall totals that the European model is predicting with time. And I mean, here's that snow. This is just as we go through the end of this weekend, so through early Sunday. Just wow. I mean, these are 2 to 4 feet of snow. in all these areas I've got circled, and up to 100 feet probably, or not 100 feet, sorry, 100 inches of snow, well over 6, 7, 8 feet there into parts of the highest elevations of California. But I mean, we get a bunch of snow even in lower elevations here in the rest of the West. This is a big time snow and cool event out here with intense wind to go with it. Again, check weather.gov for your latest alerts. Rain and moisture in the southeast. I'm expecting lightning out of that. Or are you expecting lightning out of that? I think that question might have actually been kind of halfway directed at Weather Center Nazari as well, since he was the one who kind of brought that up. But let's take a look at the southeastern United States. Let's go to our lightning density and kind of ignore any keys that I have pop up here on the on the top side of your screen. Listen to me calling it the north side of the screen using the weather terms, right? And again, look at this. There's that little snow, by the way, that the European model is showing there, exiting parts of eastern Oklahoma. Could we get a brief couple inches there? Southeast Missouri, southern Illinois, if this event picks up over the next 24 hours? Not out of the question. But pretty much disregard most of these totals. I mean, I don't really know where that thinking is coming from. You don't really see any snow breaking out elsewhere. All right. But yeah, let's take a look at the lightning. And do we see lightning up there into places like Johnson City, Tennessee? I mean, there could be an isolated thunderstorm late Friday and into early Saturday up there. I don't see that happening. There is a chance for some thunder through our Friday and along the Gulf Coast into our Saturday as well. So kind of in this trek right here. But other than that, it's pretty much lightning and thunder free for the most part over the southeast. And the eye candy of the snow. Yeah, I got rid of it, didn't I? Want to go back? Let's go back. It's funny you said, Leo the Weather Nerd, you're from Greenville, South Carolina. I mean, we're looking at the Euro model. I don't understand. I didn't even see it when I was just watching the run just now. But I mean, what the heck is that? Why is it showing like a... What? Who knows? What is that? I mean, what is that? Why is the Euro showing that? Please tell me the GFS isn't showing that too. Yeah, it ain't showing that. I don't know why that was popping up. Why the Euro shows a little snow band down there. That's ridiculous. I mean, is the chance 0? No. Is it 0.01? Probably. Yeah, outlier. Skew the day. Well, I mean, this is just one model. This is just the Euro deterministic. If we look at the ensembles, yeah, let's look at the ensembles. I'm glad you mentioned outliers and ensembles and things. I mean, the only chance of really any kind of accumulating snow is going to be up there through southeast Missouri. But I mean, this is facts. Luke F in the chat. The model's puzzling us all lately. I know. I'm about to just start throwing the models away, and we're going to start going off just... I'm going to start looking at the clouds, and we're going to predict the weather like they did 2,000 years ago, and we'll see how that goes. No, I'm just kidding, but seriously, that is sometimes how you feel looking at these things when they just get out of whack or just start showing things outliers, and you're like, do I really want to show that and believe it? Sometimes the outliers do make for good clickbait, though. But what we do see out of the Euro and GFS is that little area of snow. And again, I think southeast Missouri, in this little pocket right here, that's where an inch or two of snow, of quick snow, will come late tonight and into our early Friday and beyond that point a little bit as well. Yeah, you're good, Leo, the Weather Nerd. It's been a little bit of a kind of quieter period with the channel lately. Everybody kind of give me some critique on the recent thumbnail style as well. they've got a little bit of a lower click-through rate than normal. I think just because the text is a little bit different, so it's a little bit harder to recognize it's me. But hopefully everybody's liked the recent thumbnails and any recent changes I've made. I try to keep my content kind of similar. Yeah, Tennessee's pretty good for lightning, Michael Banks. If there is any, it's just brief thunder. But, I try to keep my channel very consistent. And as someone who's just learning the ropes of this and just practicing with meteorology and all that, it's never going to be, like all 100% every video perfect and the same. But I'm glad you like the thumbnail style, the recent one. I really want to find kind of a consistency here. We recently developed the ONW severe weather scale that I used for the last event. It did pretty well. And when I used it, so you can check out recent videos to see how I used that for severe weather outlooks and things. But I don't know. I feel like I've really enjoyed using that. And I kind of want to continue to add various things that help just build the channel and kind of add to my, so to speak, my originality here with time. But, hopefully everybody enjoys the content I've been producing. First snow of the season. I'm sorry I missed your comment, Nazario. First snow of the season, yeah. I wish. If only the Euro were going to be correct on that. But yeah, right now we're just playing the GFS on repeat while I kind of just ramble away the time here. What have we not covered? We talked about the West. Let's talk about into early next week. We haven't talked about that. This right here is, you're kind of looking at that and you see a low pressure system. You've got potential for severe weather right here. Let's look at so many ideas and that I just don't have the time to execute. We'll need to collab for sure. Yeah, always look forward to seeing your comments and critique and all your expertise, Nazario. Really appreciate it. And everything that you do over there. But yeah, hopefully the hype train. I just can't wait to see what thumbnails I see this year. I need to hold it together this year too, with the tropics, because I know it's going to be probably a bigger season than we've seen last year for sure. And even in years that have been supposedly really active in past years, based on what you've been showing, I've been keeping up with your outlooks and things of the tropics. It definitely looks pretty active with the La Niña coming. So I'm sure there will be the hype, the hurricane hype, will begin very shortly. But I mean, the GFS showing some decent storm energy out of this next system. And if we look at the upper trough, because, you kind of look for upper ingredients as well. Upper air wind, 500 millibar wind speed. There's not really much of a trough. It's kind of further to the north. And the Euro, let's see what it shows. It shows a stronger one a little bit further north around a similar time. But yeah, the models have just been in kind of disagreement on everything upcoming recently. I should have a new video out late tomorrow. Around this 7-8 o'clock time frame on the East Coast with new kind of content talking about maybe we'll take a long range look and see if there's any snow upcoming. My videos about snow always seem to do good, or do well, I should say, because everybody always gets excited about the flakes, or they hate the flakes so much that they want to know how bad it's going to ruin their day, one or the other. You're fine to self-promote right here. Tomorrow evening we'll be live discussing new climo data and one of our first official tropical forecasts for the year. I will definitely try to tune into that. Oftentimes I release a lot of my videos around 7:30 Eastern time. So oftentimes when you're live, I'm kind of posting my video and then trying to reply to comments and things as well if there are any on here. So I apologize for missing yours, but I definitely do try to kind of tune on into yours as well. At times, Nazario. As I'm sure you've seen with some of my comments, especially on weekends, I try to tune in at times. But yeah, everybody go check his channel out. He's been a good supporter of my channel over the last month and a half here. I discovered his channel about him. Well, actually, I'd seen his channel before, and I really started finding time to look at it, and I just really enjoy the content. And actually, I need you to add you to my main channel page, because I put like recommended channels over there too. So I need to put you on that page, Nazario. But yeah, any other questions from anyone? Any other commentary? Again, hoping to have a video out tomorrow. You know, normally the plan is to upload every day or every other day. You know, it's not exactly a 100% consistent upload schedule, but normally I always have the community posts rolling to let you know when I'm going to post. And it does look like pretty soon I'm going to be starting some like educational YouTube shorts to add maybe once a week in addition to my normal weather content. And actually I have Leo the Weather Nerd who was on the stream a minute ago and might still be here. He might still be on here. It was his idea to do the educational weather shorts. I posted something about a week ago, a different poll asking people about something to do on my channel. And I said, would you prefer some YouTube shorts sometimes? And a lot of people said yes. And his idea was maybe you could also do some 1-minute weather lessons. And that is just an incredible idea from him right there. So let's go to Radar Omega. I mean, I'm just going to sit on these reports for a second, because I'm actually going to, while we're on this screen, I'm going to actually add Nazario onto my... I'm going to add Nazario onto my homepage while I'm thinking about it. Because if I don't, I will forget. I guarantee you I will. But yeah, it was a great idea by Leo the Weather Nerd. 100%. Thanks for the help on that. Really appreciate what you did for me there. Alright, let's check out, let's put it on here right now. Featured channels. Check out Weather Center Nazario. And let's get him on here right now. There you go. Hopefully the channel page is updated now. Alright, homepage should have Nazario on there. Alright. But yeah, thank you, Leo the Weather Nerd. And no problem, Nazario. Have a good one. I don't think we've got any other questions or comments from anyone, so we're going to kind of conclude this stream. Again, everybody, please turn on those notifications. Tune into the video tomorrow, because, you know, I think it has to do... I always struggle with this YouTube algorithm, but the faster people click on the video and watch and are more engaged, it just kind of builds more interest in the channel and the video, and tries to... The algorithm, I think, pushes it out a little bit more. Thanks so much, Nazario, for the donation, man. Really appreciate it. Thanks so much. Hope you have a great evening. And no problem for signing out. Donation really appreciated. But yeah, anybody who ever has any like critique or like ways I could maybe make the videos more engaging, you know, every day, you know, I've got a schedule and I don't have like a whole bunch of time to make videos. But when I do make videos, I try to make them as engaging as possible, because I love having you guys on there through the whole video and making the content interesting for you. Thanks again, Weather Center Nazario. Hope you have a great evening. Michael Banks, on the 5th, where do you think the severe weather will be? Let's see if there will be severe weather on the 5th. Let's time this out. As we go into Monday, March 5th, yeah, there's a chance there's some severe weather through any part of the Mid-South. So if I live in this box right here, and I know that's kind of broad, but that's the truth. I mean, this is as broad of an area as we can fill in. I think if you live in that area, especially in this area, and that does kind of include the Johnson City area, especially closer to the Gulf Coast, though, more like this. Michael Banks, I would watch the weather very closely into next week because that storm does look like it's going to be worth tracking in that region, okay? So I definitely want to ensure your safety at this point. So keep that in mind. Any other questions, comments? It does look like it's going to be a pretty active pattern ahead. I mean, we have seen trends out of models like the GFS showing like sometime around hour 200, something interesting happening up here in the Great Lakes. So could we see a little bit more snow or some northeast snow sometime as we head towards March like 7th onward? Wouldn't rule that out, but it's kind of early to make a call on that. But I mean, one thing I can definitely tell you is just this overall area I'm circling on screen is just looking a lot more active as we head through March. And maybe that's what I should do tomorrow. We should do it like a March outlook, just an overall outlook of what the month could bring. And then just do like a shorter range forecast on Saturday. Who knows what I'm going to do? I only really know when I do it. Alright, I'm going to conclude this stream, everybody. Thank you so much to everybody who's been on here. I appreciate all the questions.